Hi, this is your 2019 yearly horoscopes with me, Lada, from Astrolada.com. Thank you for choosing me to be your guide for the year 2019. I feel very flattered. And I just want, before we start, and this is the intro for all 12 signs, but it's important for you to watch it. And before I start for each sign, I want to invite you to join me in a little prayer. No matter who you believe in, and what you believe in, just to focus our energy and to benefit the most through this reading. Dear Mother, Father, Universe, God, exalted angels, guardians of every human, those that are helping the evolution of humanity and of every individual person. Please bless everyone who watches those videos and the whole world in 2019. Let those videos and the information that is given here be useful to everyone, so everyone can use it to the most constructive possible ways, to the highest vibration of the planets. And even if there are challenging periods and moments in our life in 2019, let this video and this information give us not only clarity but a meaning and understanding of those more painful experiences that are in front of us, so we realize that life is not an adversary to battle with and conquer, that life is our benevolent good partner that is trying to lead us to discover our true authenticity. It is trying to lead us to a place of happiness, to a place of truthfulness. So let this year 2019 and the information we receive here, let us use it to the highest good for everyone involved, and let us be able to utilize the planetary energies to help ourselves, to uplift ourselves and those around us. Amen. So I want for you to benefit the most. Thank you so much for joining me, by the way, in the prayer. So for you to benefit the most from this, I want you to take a pen and paper and write down 3 things. And some of you would be just listening your sun sign. Others would be just listening to your moon sign. Others bought all the 12 videos, so you'll be able to be watching your ascendant, sun, and moon. But I always advise you, watch your ascendant sign, because if you go to a professional astrologer, they'll look at your ascendant and how the planets are in correspondence, where they're moving from that ascendant. And nowadays, more and more astrologers are using the ancient time of astrology, which is whole sign house system. So these videos are perfect. The whole sign house system is what when first astrologers created it, the system they were using it. So without the house cusps and anything. So the ascendant is the point of incarnation of the physical body. So it is of the soul into the physical body. It is the physical bodies. That's why it shows the most tangible things that are happening to us. That's why I always advise, check the prognosis for your ascendant sign. The moon sign is our inner world, how we feel, our self-consciousness. So the moon usually manifests the second most powerful after the ascendant sign, because we especially strongly identify with how we feel about something, and something that impacts us emotionally. And even though, for example, from the ascendant, some big event might be happening, like changing of place of living, but from the moon, it's shown that, for example, you will be having a quarrel with a friend. For you, this will be a way bigger deal, because emotionally this feels much stronger for you, this quarrel with a friend, for example, than the relocation that's happening. But from the ascendant, it shows the specific things that are happening in your life in a tangible way, because the ascendant is the material body and what is happening to us on our path in that material body. And the sun sign is what most of the people only check, and but that's pop astrology. But still, the sun sign is very important. The sun sign is our willpower, our goals. It's our ability to channel divine intelligence. And the sun sign will show us, looking at the prognosis from the sun sign, will show us especially the things that we are striving towards to achieve consciously. And the prognosis for the sun sign, we tend to have more free will over that prediction, what you're going to read, because the sun is connected to free will, while the moon symbolizes the past. These are things that often happen. The prediction from the moon are encoded from the past, while from the ascendant sign, it's sealed in stone, so to speak, So yes, checking the sun sign is very important, especially because you can direct the events there more with your free will. The moon sign, you feel like it's more fated and it affects your feelings the most in your personal life. And the ascendant sign is the most tangible event. So I would advise start with the ascendant sign and progress. And for you to know, though, a lot of people don't know, the sun sign is the one that everyone speaks about. You know, like, oh, what are you? I'm an Aries. It means I'm born from March the 20th to April 20th, something like that. But and I can give you predictions for, oh, if you're born from March 1st to March 5th, this and this will be happening for you. But every year they change, the sun moves into a different sign a day before or after, and I want to be way more precise for you. So instead of giving you days, we're gonna find the degrees of your sun, the degrees of your moon, and the degrees of your ascendant signs. And for some of you, the moon and the ascendant might be the same, or the sun and the moon. Rarely, but it happens. So for you to find this out, I want you to, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me just. Here it is. Share. So I hope you see it. Go to my birth website, astrolada.com. You see it here. And go to the birth chart and transits. Or if you have any other astrology calculator, I don't mind as long as it gives you the information that I'm going to show. So here I'm going to put a fictitious person, let's say whatever name. Write your name. So you're born in August the 6th, 1972, for example, at 8 a.m. or make sure that if you're born later, you check if it's 8 p.m., 20, And it's important for your correct ascendant and for the degree, in particular for the ascendant and the direct degree of the moon, the correct sign and degree of the moon, for you to know your minute of birth. If you don't know it within 15, 20 minutes, the degree of the ascendant might be 3 or 4 degrees off, but the moon degree would usually be correct. But say you're born 8/17, and say you're born in the USA, and you're born in New York, and you have the drop-down menu. Which New York are you born in? Well, there are many New Yorks, say New York Hospital, whatever. And continue, press continue. And then you're gonna get this chart, and I want you to scroll down, you see, not here, but here inside. And you're gonna see this, which shows planetary details. And I want you to, there is abbreviation of ascendant, sun, and moon. This is the only work you have to do. After that, just listen and enjoy and wait to hear your degrees. I'll be speaking generally about each sign, but especially when I mention the degree of the sign that you have. This is when things are going to, you're going to feel them so intensely. So this person, for example, has ascendant, which means your rising sign is the same. Ascendant, rising means the same. The physical body, it is at 20 degrees Aquarius. I want you to write just the first degree. The second one is not so important. This is 28 minutes. This is very minimal. So 20 degrees, write down on a piece of paper, Aquarius 20 degrees. You have to watch the video for Aquarius. And every time I mention Aquarians born, say, from 17 to 21 degrees and you're 20, they'll experience this in particular this year. And you should be like, okay, this is very specific for you. It's gonna manifest. You're gonna feel it. Then write down your sun sign. This person, for example, has sun at 14 degrees Leo. And the moon sign. The moon sign for this person is at 16 degrees Cancer. So if you've bought, for example, if your sun is in Leo, make sure that you know the degree for your sun. So in this case, this is the sign. The sun is the sign everyone knows. I'm a Leo, I'm a Virgo, So, but make sure you check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your ascendant or moon, whichever one you're waiting. And then, so for example, if you have the all 15 videos, this person has to check the video for Aquarius, Leo, and Cancer. So I hope it's not too complicated. It's actually quite simple. You can watch the video a few times to understand what it means. But now know the degree. Write it down, have it on a piece of paper, and whatever you're listening to, if it's your moon sign that you're listening, knowing the degree, when you hear your moon degree, you're like, ting, that's specific for me. For the ascendant sign, overall, the whole prediction is very correct. While for the sun and moon sign, again, you would feel it maybe to a lesser degree, but especially when I mention your sun or moon degree, this is going to, it's happening. Whatever I talk about, it's happening. You feel it strongly. It's going to be so important for you that year. So, with that introduction, thank you so much. And we're going to start with the signs one by one. Aquarius 2019. Well, Aquarius, let's start with the planet that rules you traditionally according to ancient astrology, which is Saturn, because wherever Saturn goes and wherever Saturn is transiting and influencing in your life, in your horoscope, this becomes the predominant focus for you. Because Saturn is the visible ruler of Aquarius, there is another ruler, Uranus, as well. But wherever Saturn goes, this is where the most tangible manifestations or activities are happening that have like a visible result. And Saturn has been already since 2018 in your 12th house and continues in 2019 to be there. And that is the completion of a 28, 29-year cycle that we continue to complete, me also being an Aquarius rising. So there will be a feeling that there are a lot of endings and dissolutions, but it's not going to be something that you actually are scared so much about, because it's like a natural completion of a cycle. And those endings are long expected, but it might feel like it's taking a bit longer because Saturn slows down. Yes, it's going to do whatever it has to do in that house, but it takes longer, like 2.5 years. And it might feel like it's a drawn out process of endings and completions of some sort. And it might be going those completions a bit slower than you expect. But it's a necessary process because it's also a period of reflection. It's very introspective period, because the 12th house is the house of the subconscious, the endings, the completions. And Saturn is you and it rules you and it's there. And you might find yourself in a much more contemplative state a lot of the time, in a state where you're thinking deeper about the past, because this is the 12th house, examining or even dreaming about a lot of situations from the past that cover almost the last 28 years. And those situations can be coming to the surface to be kind of reworked slowly, slowly through your dreams or through your subconscious in some way. So you can slowly, slowly disentangle and detach from them, because the ultimate goal of Saturn is to create detachment about something and to trim away the unnecessary things that are that are heavy on us. And this might be kind of certain, whatever experiences you've had for many years before. You might Saturn will help you streamline those, systemize them, put them into order, understand their meaning on a deeper level. But it's a slow process. I again repeat, it might feel a bit frustrating at times. You think you're making progress, but then you have to go over it. In 2008 and 19 this continues, and you think like, oh, I'm done with this, but again it comes back again and you have to rework it a bit deeper. And it's gonna trim the things that, the unnecessary emotional baggage that you carry from those past experiences. It's gonna trim the impractical im- illusions and imaginations that something that happened in the past or whatever you've been doing has certain impact or whatever. You're gonna look at it with more cold, sober approach, those past experiences. And people say that, astrologers often say, this is such a hard transit, Saturn in the 12th house. I don't think so, unless Saturn is making a lot of difficult aspects from the 12th house. But usually it's not outer material experiences that are compromised or blocked, or that are very challenging so much. It's more like our internal state that is more challenging, because we're working through all that baggage. And Saturn, also the 12th house, the house of our subconscious fears, of our subconscious self-undoing behaviors. It might be like escapist behaviors or addictive behaviors, or behaviors through which we self-sabotage you know, because they're based on past life beliefs. Maybe a belief like, oh, I could never succeed, or I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. Or maybe past life experience where you were drowned and now you have fear of water, or experience where you were abandoned and you have fear of abandonment. These are subconscious fears that Saturn is trying to kind of systemize, to slow down so you can actually understand them. Saturn slows down everything that's happening. So these are your subconscious fears that you're going to have an opportunity to take a deeper look at, to examine those, and to kind of remove the necessary, grandification of those things that are, um, that are, let's say, that are like stumbling blocks for you. So it's streaming out the subconscious, it's releasing, and Saturn does it in a more difficult ways. Like I always compare Saturn, it's a bit like having a constipation when it's in the 12th house, but it's slow and have to kind of, especially in your subconscious, those fears are stronger, those paranoics, so those worries, those, it's more internal worry that happens, internal mental worry, or certain depressions that can come. That's why people say it's very hard, because those, the emotional state is more heavy, because the 12th house is very emotional. But it's like having a constipation, but the final purpose of the 12th house is to excrete something, to let it go. And once you're done, you feel a great relief, that a lot of heavy baggage and dirt has come out from you. And it might take another year of this process, and a little bit towards 2020, because you're getting ready, guys, those years, for the new powerful start that will come for you. New beginnings, new personality, new identity, new life goals, new direction in life. When Saturn transits the first house, it will be like a birthing process, the first house. Again, there will be some labor pains, but like, I know it's horrible examples I'm giving, but before you start giving birth, they give you an enema to clean you. So that's what Saturn is doing through the 12th house, like to remove that constipation or whatever. So after that, you start pushing, when Saturn is in the first house from 2020, 21, to give a birth to this new you, to you, this new personality, this new beginning in your life, this new self-identity or something. So now you're in those preparation stages for that. And some of you might feel impatient that, oh, I want to start, I want those new beginnings, but it's not yet time for those new beginnings. Because even, and I've seen people try when Saturn is transiting the 12th house, especially when Saturn rules your ascendant, which is new beginnings, and it's in the 12th house. It rules your, or sun or moon, it rules your life, so to speak. Well, then it's time to prepare, to research, to study something, to do some very fantastic time for some structured research, preparation time, or time, you're working internally on yourself, and you're kind of contemplating, and you're assessing the past and thinking what is still valuable to keep and what to streamline and remove. And you're going to do it once Saturn enters your first house. And you're going to start those new beginnings. But it's hard if you want to start on a totally new path now, to do it while Saturn is in the 12th house. It's going to be more the concluding processes of that, the concluding actions of those processes, rather than the totally new beginning. So, for example, if you're a gardener and you want to start into a business of, for example, of, I don't know, clothes making, something very different, it's not yet the time. Now study, research, while Saturn is in your 12th house. If you totally want to make a shift, not yet the time. Again, it's not going to be supportive. It's like your efforts might dematerialize somehow in this 12th house. It's almost like now it's time for events to be completed, or events which are taking place as a consequence of previous actions. So it's almost like a rolling ball, a ball that's rolling down the hill. You can't change its direction right now while Saturn transits the 12th house. You can just try to relax into the process, let's say, and not stiffen so much and not be so afraid of releasing those things. And the ball will roll you to a new place eventually when Saturn enters the first house. But currently, it's, if you try to change direction, fully the direction of your life, of your career, it's no. Now, energies and powers larger than yourself that have been put in action from previous lives or the previous years, they're taking It's like by inertia what is happening. So kind of adopt the mentality of let go and see where this road and this trip takes you. Don't try to push into a different direction, to derail the train or whatever too hard. Just go with the roll with it, but if you want to start something new in something that you've already been doing, say I'm an astrologer and I want to start a new astrological project, it's okay. As long as it's something you have experience on, something that you've worked on, yes. Or if you want to start a new studies of some sort, okay, start of it, but you're not going to manifest yet the career through it or the results of those studies. Now it's fantastic time, as I say, for research, for spending isolated time on thinking on something, especially people that work in laboratories doing some prolonged research. This is the preparation time for the birth of a new project or for the birth of a new discovery or for the birth of a new you, whatever it is. So that's just the same like a student who is doing his thesis and is spending more time isolated uh, and researching and studying and doing the work in more like behind the scenes, which is the 12th house, preparing, or someone who is doing his PhD, or someone who is working in a laboratory, or these people can have very productive time. Yes, it will be with responsibilities and with a lot of repetition and study and maybe some frustrations, but the final result of any research and studies behind will be quite great because Saturn is in its own sign in Capricorn. So it's going to manifest when it comes to those preparations for those researches and studies. So people that work in 12th house environments, they will have increased load of responsibility. So these are people that work in monasteries, in hotels, in retreats, in spas, that work in healing places or meditation centers or ashrams, or that work in prisons, in hospitals, that work in libraries and laboratories. These are kind of environments that are more isolated, or people that work in faraway islands, or people that work in the artistic studio that are kind of, again, they need time to isolate. Their workload increases and they can have very productive year. It's gonna manifest there, but again with lesser resources and more constraints for time, which is the nature of Saturn. But you're gonna be able to establish more authority if you're working hard there, if you're following the rules of Saturn to be very uh, proper, to be serious, to be responsible. So if in any of those careers, you're going to have slow progress, but with very productive, constructive results, possibly with the opportunity to increase your authority as well, but with a higher load of responsibilities. But for any other businesses and careers and plans, I would advise you either finish up old projects while Saturn is in your 12th house, complete them. They're gonna they're gonna materialize, don't worry, because we have another helping influence, Jupiter, which we're going to talk about to give positive results. But it's more about wrapping up things, or about and it might be things you've been doing for many years, or it might be to do about doing, even if it's something new, but in an area that you already have experience with. So, okay, this is very much how Saturn in the 12th house works, but there are a few things that can feel hard. And as I said, one is on the mental, the subconscious, those fears, those worries. Now, your imagination is actually your enemy a little bit because it's playing a trick on you, or it's kind of your fears and worries can be bigger than what actually the situation is. It's almost like this fear that we feel before something unknown and something new is coming. And as I said, it's a slow process of 2.5 years, but you might be dreading what the future holds, or you might be, because you're about to start in a year and a half, a totally new beginning. For many of you, a rebirth of yourself, and because of that there might be some fear of the unknown or worries that come to the surface, but also those subconscious fears, self-sabotaging behaviors that need to be controlled. Saturn will allow you to control them, to have a more non-nonsense approach. So when those fears come up, you're like, these are just fears, this is my imagination, this is my subconscious. Just watch it with a detached attitude, and attitude of I'm an observer, I'm watching those things pass in front of me. Uh, and sometimes people say that, and astrologers, that when Saturn transits the 12th house, you can be incarcerated. Well, incarcerated. I very rarely seen that. I don't have many clients that are in prison or something like that. But it's usually something that a person imposes on themselves, some kind of restrictions, more isolation. Either they need it because of work duties, responsibilities, or because of some research that they're doing, as I said, some introspective analysis that is happening, uh, and or because sometimes the circumstances, in my case, like I really want to travel around and do whatnot, but Saturn in my 12th house, it's a bit like, because it's me, Saturn, or for us Aquarius, Saturn is us, it's in the 12th house of isolation. For me, I'm in baby jail, as they call it. Can't get out much, and it's kind of, we're isolated at home. And Saturn tends to also block access wherever it goes temporarily, or make it more frustrating, or takes longer if you're trying to travel to faraway distant lands, or to make long journeys of some sort, because it is the 12th house of faraway places. But it can give you such, in regards to work, such that are connected, and still Saturn is the ruler of your horoscope. It's in the 12th house, so they're gonna be more hard to get to. They might take longer to prepare. They might feel a bit more burdensome when you go to those long journeys, and with more responsibilities or faraway lands, but you can find yourself there, because it's our Saturn is our ruler, so you find yourself in 12th house in faraway places. They will happen, but a lot of them, it's like, require them either connected to work, or they're connected to some duties, or when you go and travel to faraway places or retreats and sanctuaries, like spas or islands or hotels of some sort. It feels a little bit more like hard work again. And every time I give you an example, when we go on holiday, because 12 hours go on a holiday retreat, it's hard work. I'm just working around the clock for babies, and I'm working for work. So it's, you never, find yourself in such environments, but you never fully enjoy them, because Saturn brings this energy of having to have responsibilities there. And it can block, also it can give like sleep deprivation for some time, because the 12th house is the house of the bedroom, the sleep, the rest, escape, and rejuvenate through sleep, the mundane life. And Saturn there can give some blockages or difficulties, or because of too much work or responsibilities. Again, there can be some problems with sleep, even though you want to sleep a lot, because Saturn is in your Saturn, and you want to escape. And again, it's very interesting, because for us, Saturn blocks things for everyone, but Saturn is us. So you find yourself in those 12th house things. And some of you might, if you're someone who organizes retreats in faraway places, or, such kind of meditation, uh, you know, retreats again, and or hotels and stuff like that. Actually, you're not gonna have blockage to that, but you have to work harder to it. It will feel like it's with more duties and responsibilities, and you have to check the details properly. It feels like more bureaucratic, administrative, but it's Saturn is about mastering something correctly, and more, with more effort. So you're going to master the art of retreats and sanctuaries and hotels and such things. And actually, I'm making my first retreat, hopefully, astrological one. Well, Saturn is in the 12th house, so it does manifest, but it's hard work, or it's a bit more delayed, or with more effort, but it manifests great results, because Saturn is in its own sign. um, what else is the 12th house? I think, and also it can be a good time for you to work with a psychologist, or someone who can help you resolve the past, and who can help you work through it, or someone who is like a guide of some sort as well. Also, you can receive messages from your dreams, because, of course, the planet that rules us is in the 12th house, and you can do some important work which requires a lot of efforts on dream interpretation, lucid dreaming, interpreting signs and signals from the invisible worlds. But it can feel like a more slow process, heavy going. It can feel like more burdensome, or you have to do repeated effort. Whatever is 12th house, you will manifest it all the things that I mentioned, but with the repeated efforts and more, you know, trying over and over again. Uh, all right. And it can also, I've seen when Saturn transits the 12th house, when it's ruler of the ascendant, a person can relocate to a faraway place. But again, it comes with a little bit more kind of pressure, and it's a slower process, but it still can happen, you know. All right. Uh, okay, so let's see. At the same time, Saturn will be conjunct Ketu most of 2019. And Ketu is the south node of the moon. In astrology, we draw it like that. And it means that the south node is also in your 12th house. And this is very interesting. We have two planets, and we have the planet connected to the past lifetimes, south node, Ketu, in the 12th house, which rules past lifetimes or the past, and Saturn there, which rules karma. So we have a lot of karmic influences. Wow. A lot of karmic influences, or they're influences of completion and endings. So Saturn, the 12th house, and Ketu, they're all connected somehow to karma, to the past. And Saturn wants you to work through that and wants you to see the consequences of your actions. So if you've had useful, productive actions, if you've had useful, and in the previous years, wow, it can be basically the completion of those projects and things and wrapping up of those things, and you see like, oh wow, lots of good results, and but if you haven't, if you've been on, if you've made a lot of mistakes, or hurt people a lot, or uh, have been irresponsible or something, you might feel like your life is a bit unraveling or dissolving to some extent. So whatever experiences you're observing around you, that will not be due to the planets. It's a reflection of your previous actions for the next 2019. If the events are positive, you've been doing a great work, and you're completing that karma now, clearing it up. If the events are very difficult and you feel restrained or jailed, or some one after another things out of your control that are almost like you'd call it bad karma coming to you, because you have to clear up your karmic debt before Saturn moves into the first house. And even if it's bad things that happen or difficult things, just uh, accept it as cleansing of the clay, and accept it as, okay, I pay this off, and maybe I deserve it, or maybe whatever I've done, accept it with a detached attitude. Ketu will help you um, to incorporate the attitude of the observer, the witness, because Ketu is this planet that is very spiritual, and that allows you to snap out into a state of consciousness that is more like, not, oh, for me, I'm so involved, like you're in the movie, but you become like you're the watcher of the movie. And it's very spiritual experience, because it snaps you out of self-identifying too much with what's happening, and seeing that, almost realizing that, you're an observer and the movie is projected in front of you, and it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting, and we're gonna feel it. It's very spiritual influence, to be honest. And if you adopt that attitude, this process will be much easier, and the releasing, and Ketu allows for releasing. So a lot of letting go, especially old subconscious behaviors or patterns or programs, even from many lifetimes, that you can release now. It might be even a release of some kind of a addiction or long-lasting difficult situation that is happening, that it is completing now. It's the final stages, especially 2019. It's going to be a pivotal area of letting go of those self-sabotaging behaviors, and approaching, and very spiritual year for Aquarius. Honestly, it's our ruler is in the 12th house. You become more aware and more focused on the invisible worlds, on the mysteries of life, on communication with the invisible worlds as well. And even Ketu thins the layer between the visible and invisible world, to receive communications there. And Ketu, conjoined with our ruler, Ketu is the most spiritual influence, will make us very spiritual and more willing and detached and willing to let go. It might make us a little bit disinterested towards, let's say, towards material things, and it can make us disinterested in some way towards But it allows you to let go of all the attachment. Saturn is something we're holding on to, and Ketu dissolves that from the past. So if you have something to let go, fantastic time for that. Um, if you're not ready for it, get ready because you have to. um, and especially things that and it can also, I think it's a good time to work with your past lifetimes if there is a way, because Keto will thin the walls between the invisible worlds and will give you answers where some fears are stemming from, where some repeated behaviors are stemming from, and to be released from them. Once you realize it, you're ready to move on. And it will, by the time Saturn moves into the first house, you're ready to go, basically. And what else is happening there? So very spiritual people in spiritual fields can have amazing insights, or people that are working on themselves internally can have like a breakthrough, but it doesn't happen suddenly. This breakthrough is gradual, and just one day realized uh, some fears have been dissolved, some attachments that you've been hanging on to for real life have kind of dissolved, and you're like, wow, how did it happen? I'm no longer doing this, or I'm no longer feeling strong towards this person, or something like that. All right. And there's another thing though. Rahu will be in your, and it's in Western astrology is indicated like that, will be in our sixth house for the next year and a half, actually, 2019 and part of 2020. So wherever Rahu is, we become extremely passionate about that. We become extremely excited about this area of life, and we start craving it. And the sixth house is the house of conflict on one level, so we might become more passionate to, actually, to, when it comes to conflict, to assert ourselves, or more passionate even to get into conflicts, and not to keep just to keep, oh, let me just keep the peace and not criticize or not put accusations. Rahu will amplify your desire uh, to go in there and make accusations and point fingers and get into conflict. And I'm not saying it's going to be you're like you're all fighting and stuff, but it's usually Aquarius try to stay out of such situations, if you know what I mean. Very often, very rarely, the Aquarius that will just go and like to create conflict and stuff. They're more detached, especially since Cancer is our sixth house, and Cancer doesn't like conflict because the sixth house is conflict, and Cancer just tries to pacify it, but because we're very sensitive to conflict. But now with Rahu, we will be like, okay, and actually, if there are long-standing unhealthy relationships or contracts or agreements in our life that have been in imbalance in some sort, which is the sixth house. The sixth house is some lingering chronic imbalance. It might be someone that you don't like yourself with, you don't like them, but they're still in your life, or it might be your spouse that you've had like a dysfunctional marriage for years, or boyfriend or girlfriend. And dysfunctional relationships is the sixth house, and Rahu will make you become passionate about actually interrupting that and getting it out of your life. So Rahu will give you permission to go get a divorce if you've been in a, because sixth house rules divorces, just like it rules dysfunctional relationship. The sixth is the 12th from the seventh. Seventh is contracts, agreements, and the sixth is the dissolution of agreements and contracts and marriages. So Rahu will make you passionate to end such lingering dysfunctional agreements, business or personal partnerships, and to go like, okay, I'm done. I'm not dealing with that anymore, because Rahu is fearless and it goes and tackles things in a passionate way. So yeah, that's, for some of you it might be great news that you get yourself unstuck from some unbalanced situation, unbalanced relationship. And again, it can make you very passionate about getting rid of some uh, chemical addiction, because six house rules self-medicating and chemical imbalances as well, which is also addictions are chemical imbalances to some extent, and when it's a physical addiction, not emotional. The emotional psychological addictions is the 12th house, which Ketu is helping us release at the same time, and work harder through those issues. But the physical, the chemical addiction, for example, for cigarettes or whatever it is, or to sugar, is the 6th house. And Rahu makes you become passionate, and actually for a little bit it can intensify the desire to self-medicate of those things, because Rahu is like ravenous. It wants to take more of those self-medicating things. But at the same time, Ketu is resolving the emotional issue where this is stemming from, the self that's coming from many past lifetimes. The root of every addiction is emotional. And Ketu is resolving that, and Saturn there, it's working behind the scenes to release you. So initially, because Saturn is also awakening those fears somehow subconsciously while working on them, those passions to use those substances and self-medicate can increase. But ultimately, what will happen is that Rahu will become and will help you become passionate about going the other extreme, actually, and actually even trying very unconventional methods of healing, because 6th house is the house of medicating or treating a problem as well. And Rahu gives you the permission, because it breaks, Rahu breaks established order. It gives very progressive and different and alternative solutions. So it will allow you to permission to search for alternative medicine, to search for alternative methods of breaking uh, health habit, of breaking a health imbalance, or basically restoring a health, the health in some way. So this can be time where you become passionate of exploring different foreign diets, or passionate about eliminating certain food groups, or passionate about extreme dieting even, or passionate about extreme exercise, or you can get fanatical, because Rahu gets obsessive and gets very passionate and excited about something, about trying different health, alternative health routes, like maybe going vegan, or maybe going, but initially it might start by intensifying those self-medicating behaviors, and then it allows you though to break the pattern and find alternative routes of removing physical addiction of some sort, of removing also um, uh, and as I said, trying different health balancing and health restoring practices. And it can give you like access to some exotic doctor or medicine that is different, that is maybe untested yet, or that's progressive with new alternative. Like I knew someone who, when Rahu transited the 6th house, they stopped smoking by going into some machine that was sending some waves into them, and they said after that they didn't feel like smoking, or like explore such alternative things as well. Um, and maybe you can become a bit obsessed with workout, but workout won't be for fun, like you going out and playing basketball because you enjoy it. It's going to be workout because you get fanatical about, or maybe start juicing, or maybe start just eating fruit for a day and fasting, such kind of more extreme, more new dieting, new medication, new ways of healing, new ways of treating a problem, that will give you permission and breakthrough to research, to investigate, to get passionate about, or you just can get very passionate about watching such programs about, vegan eating, or about exercising of some sort. So yeah, on another level, people that are in careers that are 6th house can have fast rise, because Rahu is a planet that can give sudden rise to to privilege, to material profit more, to more recognition as well. Because Rahu basically was not in mythology. It was a planet that, it wasn't a planet. It doesn't have a body. It's a point, but it was a demon that wanted to become a god, to become immortal. So he pretended to be a god, and he drank the juice of immortality. So he tricked his way into immortality, and he had sudden rise. You can't rise from a demon to God. It's not it's not the proper way suddenly. But Rahu tricked his way, so that's why it also in life it's known to give sudden rise into a higher status or recognition, even if it's through trickery or not in the conventional way, let's say, not through the evolution gradually, over repeated efforts and work. No, suddenly you might not be ready, but you get put there. So in regards to 6th house careers, and what is that? 6th house careers are if you are in the medical field again. You can have like more passion about medicine as well, more passion and certain rise through that career. If you're in ministry, if you're in any kind of services, ministry of service, helping like social services, helping the poor, then educated, helping, going and delivering food to people in need, and any kind of ministries of service, you can become more passionate about it and do a lot of service now, and a lot of have sudden rise in opportunity through those things. So, actually you can even do it with the intention for opportunity and rise, just like Rahu did it in the mythology, in the myth, and you can get if you're in military as well, or if you're someone who is a litigator, a lawyer who deals with a lot of conflict, or divorce lawyer, or a lawyer that deals with people that accuse each other and blame each other, because sixth house is accusation, blaming. So often people from the law profession, when Rahu transits the sixth house, there's increased number of such accusations and court cases like that, and divorces that are more controversial. This amplifies, because Rahu amplifies it, but it also gives you an access to prove yourself suddenly and rise to higher status or privilege through such kind of things, which is sixth house. Also, if you're someone who is in the pharmacy, in the drug industry of some sort, you can have a sudden rise and passion for your career, but also sudden rise to higher places as well. All right, on another level, the sixth house is also the house of work, generally employment. And Rahu gives you permission if there is some kind of a long-lasting dysfunction at your work, or toxic environment at your work, or unfair treatment. Rahu gives you permission to break that thing and to leave that job. So some of you that have been in a dissatisfying career in that has put them, or employment for someone that has put them in a state of imbalance or in a state of dissatisfaction, and it's been long lasting. When Rahu transits the sixth house, you become impatient with that, and you become passionate to regain, you cannot tolerate this. So you're going to be willing to argue, you're going to be willing to take more extreme actions, which is what Rahu does, to get out of this situation. So people can change jobs when Rahu transits the sixth house. So, and usually it's to get improvement in their current situation, and also Rahu amplifies service and work, so people become more passionate about their work, they become more ambitious through their work and their employment. So for some of you, it can also indicate rise, and because of this passion and ambition, that they can be rise through employment to a higher position of employment that comes. And it can indicate as well, it's increase of your responsibilities, definitely, but you're kind of ravenous to tackle them on and about your work, and you're passionate about it. On another level, it can indicate, because sixth house is the house of order and orderly. It's also the house of employees. So if you have employees, so house help, so you become passionate and desirous to possess, for example, a cleaner or someone. You start hiring a lot of people to help you fix something in the house and stuff like that. It amplifies dealings, and those exist more in your life with people that you hire for some reason, or your employees. So if you're a manager, the people that you manage that are below you on the, basically in the hierarchy, and they can be like. You become passionate about that. You can hire new employees or foreign employees, or employees that are very different or a little bit unusual and rebellious in some sort as well, very charismatic of some sort as well. But you become passionate about house help, and it's funny. I'm looking like crazy for nannies. I'm looking like crazy for cleaners. I'm looking like crazy because and that's been for the last 2 weeks since Rahu entered the sixth house. I've been looking like crazy also for cleaners of the roofs and someone to do the garden. So people you hire, yes, these are the things Rahu gets passionate about and wants to do. And also sixth house in the house of order. And Rahu, even if you're a slob, and when Rahu stimulates the sixth house, you become more passionate about, even a little bit maybe obsessive. For some of you who are big slobs, finally they might have a desire to start putting things into order, to learn to systemize, to learn to fold, to learn to clean, or to kind of, it's Rahu there will help you get, or at least temporarily, excited about putting order around you, about um, systemizing, about all those things. But on another level, you might find yourself that you're becoming a bit more anal, a bit more critical, and that you actually get excited about picking up, because Rahu is like that. It gets excited about picking up, not, I would say, little fights, but picking up and pointing out the weaknesses, or the things that are wrong with others. Uh, More it enhances, again, as I say, the accusatory and blaming qualities. But for some of us this is necessary because it also enhances the discriminative ability, in a sense that you start discriminating what is, like, maybe you start noticing that you have spots on your clothes and this annoys you if it's never annoyed you before, or you start noticing, oh, this person is a bit like unkempt, or there is dirt on the floor, or this article, someone, you hire someone to write an article for you, and or your employees are supposed to do something, and you start noticing much more, and you become more passionate about the things that they do wrong. And because you see the detail more when Rahu is in the sixth house, and you see the imperfections more, it makes you more like Virgo, a bit anal. But that's necessary, because if everyone did a sloppy job, a sloppy work, and I'm someone who'd never, when someone did a sloppy job out and I've paid them, I would never point it out, and I would just like withdraw. When Rahu enters the sixth house, you're like, you point them and you said, I'm not happy with this, you have to do it again. Or it's like, what is this? Or I'm someone that would never criticize or point to others their mistakes. But when Rahu trans the sixth house, you become passionate about doing that, and you can't tolerate anymore someone taking advantage of you, or someone doing a sloppy job, and you show this perfectionist or more critical side. But sometimes it's necessary, unless you're already too much like that, you become a pain in the ass a bit. All right, so a lot of interesting things this Rahu in the sixth house can do. Sixth house is also death, according to Western astrology, Vedic astrology, which means that Rahu can amplify your passion to kind of to get privileges, or to achieve some goal by taking a bigger loan or a debt of some sort, or to tackle and get rid of a loan of some sort as well. So that can be good to resolve some loan. But if you get a loan now, this loan can put you into some kind of achieve a goal, or achieve an ambition or profit of some sort that you want. All right, interesting. Let's see, Jupiter. We forgot. Let's see where the good things are happening. Jupiter is in our 11th house, the whole 2019 to December almost. And this is, according to Western astrology, the best position for Jupiter in regards to material results. So it's the 11th house is known as the house of the results, the outcome, the profits, the gains, and Jupiter will expand those. So especially in the 11th house is the profit, the outcome, the gain of something you've been the gain from something that you've been doing. So it's not like profit comes and falls into your lap now. It's because of something you've worked on, or because something that you've made efforts on before, and now you're gonna see the results. So now you're gonna get like, and remember that Saturn is transiting our 12th house, so it is about completions and endings, but Jupiter will make sure it rewards us in regards to some project or something that we've been doing, and it's going to reward us financially, profitably, to the extent that we've put efforts there. So there are completions of things, but they're giving results, they're giving good results, and we're getting something back. So that can be that and wherever Jupiter goes, you're able to see the fruit of that house. You're able to get blessings and easy access to those things. So the 11th house is known as the house of dreams and wishes, and every and achievements, because every big achievement starts with a dream, starts with a wish. And Jupiter now will expand this. We'll start dreaming bigger, we'll start wishing bigger, we'll start thinking that more is possible in regards to achieving our goals. We'll start believing that, and you will see, um, and I tell you now, start dreaming big, and you feel it, like not in your sleep dreaming a lot. I mean, you probably won't have much time for sleep with Saturn in the 12th house. Start dreaming big in regards to your goals, and you can fulfill some really spectacular goals because Jupiter is in its own sign, so it's very strong. So this year you can fulfill some quite powerful goals that become gainful for you. You're gonna see increase of your gains financially when Jupiter is in the 11th house. Profitability, you can receive a bonus, for example. You can receive as a recognition of your efforts. You can receive a promotion financially as well of some sort. You can also receive uh, you can have multiple sources because Jupiter gives more than of income or profit for you. You can introduce new source of income or profit as well of some sort. You can also have, okay, magic tricks. You can also have uh, new opportunities for social and economic gains that are coming to you. But again, stay in line with Saturn being in the 12th house, that not to start something totally new that you don't have any experience in. But if it's within the field of something that you already have connections or experience with, Jupiter will definitely bring those new opportunities and you can benefit through them. So by the end of this year, by 2019, you can have a lot more profitability in your life, materially speaking, and you would have achieved some long-term goal or dream, completed it, and you receive the recognition and even warm welcome of those. And it's funny that all the ideas that I've been doing since Jupiter entered the 11th house, they have been all very profitable and have been receiving wide social acceptance. I'm just giving you an example of me, how it's already playing out. um, and because the 11th house is the acceptance from the audience, the acceptance from the public, the acceptance from um, you know whether it's embraced from society, whatever you're presenting. And Jupiter there will give a warm embrace for your ideas, from your projects, from whatever you're doing, basically. And not only that, but help that comes to you through others. The 11th house is social networks and connections. Jupiter will expand those social networks and connections, which is just as well. That's great, because Saturn in the 12th house can make us a bit of a hermit. Probably some of you in 2018 felt it already, but now Jupiter enters the 11th and it's going to rebalance a little bit this. So it's gonna, yes, you need moments of isolation to think deep, to reminisce, and to work on behind the scenes on something, to research. But at the same time, Jupiter will give us new friends, will give us an expanded social circle. If you have fans, will expand your fan base. If you have followers on YouTube or Facebook or social media, it will expand your followers. This is the 11th house. It rules these things: fan base, followers. So your popularity and social outreach will become wider. Jupiter enlarges it. You're going to be able to reach out your message or whatever it is, or your wisdom or your project, to larger groups of people. So it's also good for, as I said, marketing, advertising, because Jupiter is also making a trine to the 3rd house, which rules media, communications, marketing, sales, advertising. And the 11th house is large groups of people. So such projects will be good, will give good results, more contacts will be created. And Jupiter is making trine to the 7th house as well. And the 7th house is partnerships, so you can succeed through pairing, through partnerships. You can also join large groups that becomes beneficial to you, and they open new opportunities for you. And let me give you an example. I've never been someone to join groups or societies or things like that. And the moment Jupiter entered the Sagittarius, which is for me the 11th house, I got contacted by a lady who is the founder of the Astrology Hub, which is one of the biggest astrological societies, Amanda, and we're meeting up in Hawaii. So let's see how it goes. But this gives you access, when Jupiter transits the 11th house, to large organizations and groups of people, and wider audience and wider outreach to more people. So if you're working in any kind of careers that require social connections, that require marketing, advertising, that require networking, PRing, that require making collaborations with others, well, Jupiter will definitely increase those and will give uh, good profitable results from those and great connections. So time to make connections, time to make partnerships, to communicate. And of course Rahu is making you get rid of the unhappy ones, or the ones that are kind of imbalance, you're giving too much and not receiving back, or you're not invested enough. So Rahu gives you permission to break those. And at the same time, Jupiter gives opportunities for new, better partnerships, business and personal. Also, if you're in any kind of other business, this is usually a profitable year. And because third house rules commercial transactions, sales, seventh house rules agreements and contracts, and Jupiter is, of course, profit. So all those things are happening and are being stimulated in a positive way, should give good results. And especially if you have your ascendant in Aquarius from the following degrees, from 14 to 25 degrees in Aquarius. Now I'm talking about ascendant in particular. Jupiter will make 3 times trine to your seventh house of partnerships. So that means that a possibility for a new relationship is coming, or a happy development through relationships, or good contract. And because it's 3 times, it means it's something more significant and more important. So, and it can have good, results that are happening in the relationship. If there are problems in a relationship, or if you're single, especially if you have those degrees ascendant in Aquarius, you can manifest a relationship this year. And new friends, and the kind of friends you're gonna attract now, they'll be more Jupiterian in nature. You'll be connected through knowledge. You'll be connected. They'll be beneficial, benefic for you, bring opportunities. They might be foreigners. They might be international, global. Like, you're gonna make friendships with new, more exciting, or more knowledgeable, more learned people as well. And possibly because your 11th house is Sagittarius, what will connect you is international travel, or global, or multicultural interest, or what will connect you is higher knowledge of some sort, or your beliefs and your ideals of some sort. So I'm hoping to finally meet some of you on this seminar that we're doing in the summer, and to get to meet people. And I have such great hope that, because Jupiter is in the 11th house, it helps with people getting together, with creating also large events. The 11th house rules large events, many people coming together and making friends, and many people like-minded, especially in regards to Sagittarius topic, to higher knowledge, to wisdom, to understanding, to global matters, international friends as well. So you'd experience that, Aquarius, as well. Expansion of your network, expansion of meaning that comes to you through meaningful people, through people that become like teachers of some sort to you. Also, profits can come to you through anything Jupiterian, because 11th house is profit. So from teaching, from profits from spreading knowledge, profits from publishing, profits from international travel, profits from higher education, or academia, or professorship, or some kind of lecturing as well, guidance, spiritual guidance as well, foreign travel. But again, anyone who works in 11th house careers, great opportunities for them, new ones. Anyone who is network, a social influencer, social media person, anyone who works in anything connected to the internet and media and IT, because the 11th house rules networks. Anyone who works with the skin, with the brain, with the nervous system as well, can have very successful year, because the 11th house rules large systems and interconnected systems without center, and those things are that. And successful organizations, maybe you can have more easy access to big conferences, to big like Burning Man places, where people with like-minded ideals get together, large congregations. So definitely more social time. All right, and then we're going to go through the other planets and see how they're affecting you. Uranus is affecting you. It's going back into Taurus, and especially if you're from 0 to 7 degrees Aquarius, Uranus can really change and shift some things for you. 0 to 2 degrees, or even 0 to 2.5 degrees, if you have Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, it started already from the spring of 2018, the Uranus square, which is a difficult aspect, which means it's more disruptive, and you can be like, you might not be ready for it, but it's happening. It's more forceful and more powerful to notice, and it takes more time to adapt to it. But if you're 0 to 2 degrees, these changes, sudden changes that Uranus introduces, have started already, and they continue till April. So if it's your ascendant in those degrees, it usually represents that Uranus is squaring your ascendant. So there might have been on and off relationships that started, breakup, sudden breakup of business partnerships. And that's what I had all summer, because it started already from the spring and the summer and continues till April if you're 0 to 2 degrees. Like I had a lot of people that I was partnering up and that I broke up with them, or they would suddenly leave because I love when I see someone become so big that they can do it on your own. So, and I was worried, will I break up with my husband? Will be, like suddenly separated or something? Because usually can happen because the ascendant is the axis of relationships, and the opposite is the descendant. But nothing like that happened. I was just business partnerships. This is again partnerships that were breaking on and off and new coming, and like I think 7, 8 people left, and new business partnership came, and they left and they started. So it's a bit of when it comes to agreements, to business partnerships, to partnering, and even to personal relationships, it can create an on and off relationships, a breaking of contracts. And if you're 2 to 7 degrees, it's starting from you from April 2019, April till April 2020. Sorry, that's not a degree. So you have it, if you're 2 to 7 degrees, that there can be some destabilization and sudden shifts and changes starting to happen in your business partnership, in your relationships, even in your appearance. You can do a sudden change. Like I changed my hair to blonde, and I've never been blonde because the ascendant is your appearance. And there can be a bit of restlessness in the physical body as well, kind of. But if you're in an already unstable relationship, it can further destabilize it for a year when you're in a square as the ascendant, and also the moon in those degrees. The moon also means emotional connections, and I'll speak about each one of them separately, what it means if you have those degrees. And if you have those degrees, definitely you're feeling it, guys. All the rest of the prediction, you can see here and there things, but specific degrees when they're affected, wow. And so if it's the ascendant, as I said, relationship on and off, business partnerships on and off, new ones, old ones breaking, sudden changes, readjustments of the layers there, sudden new people appearing, disappearing. I had a lot of new people that I met in 2018, but briefly, and they were exciting relationship, but they come in your life. Probably I'll never see them again. Um, but it can also indicate like your partner or you have to travel more, so on and off relationships happens, or that you're not constantly together on and off. And it doesn't mean separation always, but if you're already in an unstable relationship, Uranus wants to liberate you and cut off the connection. And it can be like on and off, or starting a few different relationships before it settles, or if you're married already and your relationship is good, it might mean that you have to do some change there. There might be some sudden surprises that are happening, or that one is traveling more. And sometimes it can mean like a long distance relationship when you're in a suspect, planets, especially the ascendant, because it's on and off. You see now each other, now you don't. If it's also your moon, it can mean like sudden changes with your family. Relocation can be indicated suddenly. There might be some sudden shake up in the property place, something to do with property, with land, with garden, with hopefully no electrical problems there. But sometimes it can be the dynamics of the family become very changeable, surprising. They can be sudden or temporary separations with family members or with mom, or separations from place of origin, or change of place of living, or change of you kind of get bored because Uranus wants something exciting and new, but because it's a square, it can be a bit more, stressful of the whole environment of your living and your everyday routines, like what you normally do. This is the moon. Well, it's going to be unpredictable, your daily life, and it's going to be so much more happening, so many excitable, changeable things, which can make you a little bit stressed. I knew someone who had Uranus square the moon 3 times over that one year. They relocated 3 times. I had another person that whatever plans they had every day, like everything was changed. They had to adapt so quickly, so many surprising things. And you have to pay attention where this moon is. If you have from 2 to 7 degrees, if it's in the 6th house, it can mean like your environment and daily routines are changing because there are a lot of unpredictable, surprising things happening with your work, or because your health might be affected in some way. If your moon is in the 8th house, there might be sudden surprising events that are happening with your partner's resources, and that changes the whole dynamic of the family. Or if the moon is in the 2nd house with your money, so it depends. You have to pay attention where the moon is as well. And there can be sudden separations with women as well. And the sun is with men. If your sun is from those degrees, sudden changes in the life of important men in your life, like your husband might change a job, or your father, sudden separations, or on and off again with males. Exciting males come in your life that bring maybe in Uranian nature of some sort, like strong Uranus or Aquarius, or they might be very excitable people, or that bring a new fresh of exciting energy into your life, but they might be, they shake your world upside down, and they come and go, or they suddenly, or it might be that your partner who is male suddenly starts needing more space, or needing to, or some big shift is happening in his life, because the sun represents male figures, and a big change that you have to adapt to it because your husband is going through. But if you're already in a difficult relationship with a male, it can escalate it, so it cuts the relationship of some sort and liberates you from it. So Uranus brings such kind of interesting things. And the sun also represents, if it's your sun of those degrees, your career and goals. So there can be sudden changes there, changing the direction of your career and your goals, or introduction of something new that you have to adapt to in regards to your career. And if your career is Uranian in nature, like technology, social media, uh, alternative things, astrology, then even the difficult aspect can help, even though it's more stressful, but it can help for manifestations there for good. But some adjustments and some changes are happening. At the same time, Neptune is not affecting you, neither is Pluto, which is great. They are not affecting any of your degrees, the outer planets, just Uranus is affecting those degrees. And yeah, the next things we have to talk about is Mercury retrograde period. Because this is when things can go a little bit more, unpredictable and a bit more stressful. And it's usually to do with papers, with documents, with missed communications, misinformations. And it's March that Mercury goes retrograde, most of March, in Pisces. And for us, this is our 2nd house. So we have to be a bit more careful with our finances around March. Maybe you'll see the trends from the middle of February, and the whole shabuda will end by the middle of April during this whole period. But March is in particular where it can feel a bit more stressful with finances. You might be rebudgeting, reevaluating your finances. You might have to, you might have some expenses that were unplanned. And you might try not to take risky investments or spend money on new things around that time. If anything, try just to rearrange your finances, move money around, or kind of make account of your finances, make some important maneuvering. And because it's Pisces, hide money or something, or some kind of a good thing is that something that you've lost, some object can come back to you, or something that you thought it was broken as a valuable object can come back to you. But this can also, any possessions of yours is the 2nd house. So it can be a good time to kind of sort out your possessions, maybe get rid of some of them, keep some of them, kind of put order into them, because Mercury wants to put more order and organization. And any valuables as well. Okay, and then in July, Mercury is going retrograde in your sixth house. Most of the time, it's retrograde in July, a little bit into Aquarius, which is your seventh house. So your sixth and seventh house, but only if you're 0 to 5 degrees Aquarius. So if your sun is 0 to 5 degrees or moon or ascendant, then the Mercury retrograde in July hits you very strongly because then it falls in your seventh house. So if you're the first 5 degrees, sun, moon, or ascendant, July can be a pivotal. Oh my God, that's me. July can be a pivotal time for partnerships. Then they can be again. Uh, and you remember Uranus is affecting some of those degrees, like interruption of relationships, business relationships, or agreements or contracts, or the need to renegotiate those, or to re-examine the rules of condition of some agreements or partnerships, or agreements with clients. Also, there can be some important things that have to be discussed between you and partners, personal or business partners, another person, and set things that have to be said. So it can be a bit more stressful time for relationships overall, but things have to be put into balance again to be um, streamlined, to be systemized and organized. And there can be delays to certain uh, agreements, to certain uh, contracts, to certain delay, to certain, or sometimes if a relationship is stressful, it escalates and it can be the pivotal and turning point for a relationship when Mercury is in the seventh house. If you have your sun, moon, or ascendant in those degrees, it can also mean that it's intensified times of communication, of uh, fixing mistakes with others, or working on a project with others or with another person, and you having some mutual thing that you're working on, or some agreement that gets a bit delayed, that needs extra effort to be put on before you sign the contract or before you have the final project and the result of it. Some more intense and repeated negotiations can be happening as well around that time. Uh, and it's also part of your sixth house most of July, so there can be also the need to put more order and organization, which Rahu is already helping you with, to revise that order organization, to revise your diet and health issues. And some of them might flare up when Mercury is retrograde in the sixth house, because it's making you change your plan in regards to what you eat, what your health habits are, so Mercury wants a change of health habits and the plans for those. Plus, your routines and the duties and responsibilities might be surprising. Every day, you have a plan for the day, which is the sixth house, and you have to do this ABC. But something comes out of the ordinary, and it's kind of surprising, and puts a bit of uh, kind of having to adapt all the time and be ready with plan B and C for your routines, and some kind of also it can mean that you're just working on some projects a bit more and you have to redo it, put final touches, edit it, work extra hard on it with more efforts and skills of some sort. And the final Mercury retrograde is in November from the 1st till the 20th, and that's in Scorpio, and that's in our 10th house. So that's about career. Mercury retrograde can be very hectic time where you can by the end of November you can establish more of your authority and skills and show them publicly to others, but it requires you to put 3 times more efforts. So they can be intense, increased flow of communication, of writing reports, meetings, of deals, sales, working on some reports, writing, speaking, any of those things. But it's in the visible eye, and repairing some project or fixing it or editing that's connected to career. Or it can also indicate more hectic time with that, more mercurial responsibilities and duties, which are business administrative, which are communicative, which are studying using the mind. And it can indicate also that there might be some negotiations or prolonged, like the project you're working on takes extra time, has to be fixed, edited, or some important communications that have to happen with authority figures, father figures, institutions. Certain extra information is needed, or something has to be, you have to be a bit more careful and put more effort there. But the final result can be more improved authority or improved situation and communications with authorities or institutions, or improved after fixing some administrative duties and fixing some administrative or kind of details in a career project, that it's comes out better and more, the project comes out better basically, after that. And last but not least, let's see at Mars transits through your signs, guys. um, Let me just check. Well, basically, there are twice when Mars is going to affect us and make us the year quite hectic. And we have to be, you become more productive with Mars effects at the angles from your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, but at the same time, you become more irritable and reactive. So try to be careful not to start conflicts because this can escalate during a Mars transit. Um, but basically, Mars is going to be in Taurus from February, from mid-February and March. And March, both months, Mars is in Taurus. Mars. Mars in Taurus, which is our fourth house. So this is time to be very active at home. Maybe you can fix something at home. Maybe you can get finally the energy to start looking for a new property, or to fix or repair something, or to tackle some problem, to do your garden, to do your roofing or whatever, if there's some problem to. And it can escalate problems there, like something breaks down, but it also helps you tackle those things, and you can get more proactive about searching for a place to relocate, or searching to do something about your home or activities with your home. You can have much more busier times with activities with family members, people at home of some sort. But also, if you're working on some mutual project together, it's fantastic. You can channel that energy together at home. You can feel more restless at home as well. So it's good to do something together with family. Let's go to for example, to a holiday that is with skiing, or that is more to do with physical activity of some sort. But on the same time, it can, if you don't have where to channel this energy, you can bicker more. You can become more irritable with family members, and fight a little bit. And generally, because Mars is making a full aspect to your seventh house from the fourth, um, you can just feel more provoked by others, and you can be willing to fight more with partner or spouse. So be careful that on a personal level it doesn't escalate. Otherwise, you can get a lot of things done. And in regards to matters concerning home, that require a lot of physical energy, in regards to matters concerning tackling problems, or doing something together in a partnership, and but they can be more inclination to argumentatives and rushing. And the next time Mars enters our seventh house is basically from from August 19th. No, from June. So from 1st of July, sorry. So the whole of July until August 19th, Mars is going to be in our seventh house. So, and putting a full aspect, according to Vedic astrology, to our 10th house. Again, a very, very hectic time, very productive time when it comes to career as well. You're going to be more ambitious and push forward towards career more, but there can be more inclination to be argumentative in relationships. And don't forget that July is when Mercury is also retrograde in our seventh house. So we can have an inclination again to argue more in July, and things can kind of escalate when it comes to relationships. But at the same time, you can move and you can do something productive in a mutual project with a partner, put a lot of energy into that, into carving contracts. And there might be some delay into fully doing it because of Mercury there, but Mars makes you push through and get more impatient though. So try to be a bit more patient, not overreact with others, with your partner. Again, likelihood to fight more with partners, personal business. But again, also to be more like a shark business person as well, and to go after what you want in negotiations, and to press others by the wall. And the transit towards the 10th house, it can indicate also some conflict with authority figures and institutions, or just too much hectic things going out around your work. But it also gives you the strength and the drive to go and, get a lot of things done in your career. And then the final time is November, uh, from around the 20th of November to the end of the year, so to 2020. So the last part of the year, November and December, from the 10th of November, the whole of December, Mars is going to be in Scorpio, which is our 10th house. So very active times in your career, that your actions are publicly visible, you're very driven, you push through, you act, you do a lot of activities, you get a lot of things done in your career. I think Mars will be invisible then, so it might feel a bit more frustrating when Mars is invisible, because you might not be able to immediately see the results of all those things and all the work that you're doing in regards to your career. But still, there is a lot of, possibility to make a lot of things happen, and to kind of renew that career sector, that ambition. You become more ambitious as well. Again, be careful for arguments and little accidents. Whenever Mars is around, we get more accident prone, but you have more physical energy to do things as well. So hopefully you'll use that Mars energy productively, rather than go and do silly things and fight with people and get yourself in accidents, and get frustrated. So anyway, thank you so much, Aquarius. And if you want the month by month breakdown written form, check out the written horoscopes that are coming for each sign. They'll be out on the 25th of November. Collaboration with my teacher, big slideshow, and lots of, it's all written. So anyway, thank you and happy new year. Lots of different things to happen. Bye bye.